Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Like as usual, and today we are continuing the Shittening Series saga, and today we're going to be hitting episode 2, where we take the front I/O, we completely actually take it off of the front panel, and we basically put a new front panel on the PC. So without further ado, roll the intro and I'll get into what we're doing today. So before I want to go anywhere, as usual, I'm probably getting sick of it by now, but I am trying to hit 1,000 subs by the end of the year. So if you're watching the video and you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to hit that subscribe down there. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to as well, be like. But without further ado, without boring you, let's get into the actual video. Now today's video is all about taking the front panel, which I mean is pretty ugly on that Cooler Master case, and turning it into something that looks pretty damn nice. Basically, the idea behind it will be a single piece of that PVC plastic, let's just call it acrylic for now, which will just be spray painted black and have a single hole in the bottom for the fan. Now the original idea was to have 3 fans in the front with a metal bracket which would then suspend the plastic, but unfortunately I don't have the ability to actually cut metal pretty quickly or accurately at all, and it just isn't really advisable as an idea. So what I decided to do was simply just take the front single piece of acrylic, stick it onto the front using the original mounting hardware of the thing, and then just calling it a day. So let's get into the steps of how I did it. Now the first thing I had to do, of course, was to cut out the acrylic piece. This is actually not plexiglass or acrylic plastic. It's actually a PVC, the same thing they use in your pipes, except it's clear and it looks like PVC. I've actually looked at it, taken off a bit of the peel. It's actually full and clear. It's not actually that bluish tint you will see in the video. That's all because of the protective plastic on it. So that's really good. It looks just like plexiglass, so I can advertise it as plexiglass, even though it isn't plexiglass. It doesn't matter. So once I've gone ahead and actually cut it out to the same dimensions, of course, back to the sanding routine, just sanding it and whatnot, and scaled it up, and it was pretty accurate, to be completely honest. Now, next thing we had to do, of course, was to cut off the original mounting. Now, the case actually uses 6 points on where it actually clasps onto the case using this plastic things that just go in and into the metal. And I wasn't gonna bother reinventing the wheel, so I just decided to cut 4 of them off and just use them as 4 standoffs pretty much for the thing. I then went ahead and drilled a hole bigger than the actual metal screw I keep using, and I just screwed the screw into the hole of the thing, and there we go, we have a front panel. Now, as I was there dreaming about how good it looked, I remembered myself that, oh shit, where are we going to put the front I/O? Where are we going to put the power button, USB, front head and audio and all that BS? So I decided to start actually reusing the front I/O of the case originally, which was a nice big fat plonk of plastic, and I decided to start cutting out a hole for it. Now the hole isn't exactly 100% accurate. It will indeed stick out a bit, but I think it will look pretty good. Give it a minimalistic bullshit look and whatnot. So once that was gone ahead and done, I then went ahead and drilled a hole for the actual power button, and then I also decided to cut off the power button, including its metal plastic shell, and put a piece of plexiglass underneath it, which will pretty much put the button on level with the I/O. So I did that, and it looks pretty decent. For the most part, it's not exactly the best looking. I could have indeed made the hole a bit better. Unfortunately, I didn't actually have the drill bit big enough for the button, so I had to actually use the biggest drill bit I had with the the drill that allowed the biggest drill bit, and then I actually had to score it around, which wasn't exactly ideal, but I mean the hole actually got big enough for the power button to click through, no issues. The I/O all works, the plastic works, and the button works as well. It's a bit squeaky, but I guess that's part of the design flaw of how I designed it. I then went ahead and just secured the power button with a screw and the I/O with hot glue. Now I try to stay away from hot glue, as well, hot glue is permanent but not permanent at the same time. It can get broken and then it won't work, and then the usual. So I just decided to use hot glue only exclusively for the I/O, where I just had no place to put 2-3 screws in to hold it into place. It also goes into friction with the front I/O panel, which is why I wanted to use screws originally. But the hot glue seems to hold them pretty well. I have to admit, hot glue is pretty underrated for its strength. I have to admit, it's quite strong. plastic to metal. I had multiple contact points, of course, with it, but after me, it did a pretty good job just by holding the edges of it essentially together. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how the front eye panel looks. It looks decent. Maybe a good spray paint of black will make it look better. Of course, we're putting a fan in the front of it. I'm probably just going to put a normal fan in the front and spray paint the entire thing black just to simplify things, rather than having to print out a circle, then cut the circle out and then stick it onto there and then spray paint over it, and then the spray paint can get underneath the circle and then it cannot look good. I'm just going to spray paint everything black, probably give it like that scoring effect, which is like the brushed aluminum, and call it a day, because to be honest, it looks pretty damn decent. So without further ado, make sure to leave a subscribe, because this series will indeed continue. So without further ado, thank you for watching. I'm Mike's Tech, and be sure to leave a like and a subscribe. I'll catch you next time.